My first memory of being inspired came when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I remember vividly, I had a brother that was 2.5 years older than me, and my father was trying to get him to understand how to tell time, and had different clock graphics, and was trying to get him to understand. And I kind of walked up and said, "Oh, that's 2:30. Oh, that's 12 o'clock." And I instantly kind of had a sense for what, I was listening just on the outside of the conversation, but I picked it up. And I had a sense that I was pretty bright, I guess you could say. And from that, I was inspired to learn more about, to read my brother's books and to do some of others' homework. And I ended up helping him academically, so that when I started school, I was instantly like the teacher's helper, or the person that would be asked to help other kids. And I think what drew me back to that memory was this part of me now that is inspired a lot by kids and by helping kids and by helping other people. And a big part of my life now is my job, which involves helping kids. And so when we ask in the workshop about inspiration, that's what clicked for me when I knew that I could help other people. And inspiring points of my life since then have been around helping other people.
Did you talk about wood too? That you had a moment of realizing that you loved wood, right, and going to the lumber yard?
I did.
Your Uncle Nolan.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good memory. And that was my first inspiration around art that I recall. And it was probably about 3 or 4 months after I learned to do this technique that my uncle taught me. And we started out using plywood, scrap plywood that was in the basement of a shop that another uncle owned. And we worked with that wood and carved it and cut it and did what we could do. And we also duplicated patterns that my uncle had that he got from his brother. But somewhere around the time that I started thinking, that part of the pattern is a little off, or I think I'm going to change this here. At the same time that I started to kind of question or want to put my own energy into the patterns or draw my own patterns, was around the time that we were running out of wood, and we happened to go to this great, exquisite lumber place, Southern Lumber Company. It's still there in San Jose, California, with exotic woods from all over the world, everything from balsa. And you can pick up a piece of balsa if it was the size of a car. You could pick it up with one hand and lift it, or ebony wood, and it could be a piece that holds in your hand, but it's so heavy you can't hold it. And I started getting into all the different properties and shapes and colors and things of wood, and I just kind of had this epiphany, this experience that I wrote about it in a poem. But other than that, it's hard to. It was so new to me that I didn't really totally understand it, but it felt like I was really communicating with this wood. I would go, at this point, just discovered it, and I could spend like hours going through a stack of wood looking for the right piece that I wanted, with the right grains, with the right structure and that kind of stuff. And at some point, it just hit me that this was once a tree somewhere supporting life, sustaining life. Maybe a tree in Africa that my ancestors might have climbed on, Maybe a tree in Tennessee that somebody's ancestors might have hung from. And I just started getting into that vibe about the life that these trees had.
I was interested in that moment of that epiphany.
Okay.
Do you remember the situation when that happened, that epiphany?
It was about 6 months after I had been carving wood, but I don't know that it had the same meaning for me. At that point, it was my sense of purpose, I think. I realized that there was something that I could communicate through this wood, that this tree that had been reduced to a plank of wood that might otherwise become a bookshelf or a doghouse, that I could take that piece of wood and do something powerful with it and kind of make it live again. The moment was that Nolan and I were both, this is my uncle who taught me, and we were both at Southern Lumber Company, and we'd probably been there about 30 minutes, and I think he was in the frame department, and I was looking at wood. And the moment is kind of a blur because he came and kind of shook me out of a trance that I was in. He came and said, "What are you doing?" And I was just there vibing on this piece of wood. And I said, and I couldn't talk to him about what happened. So I don't know what you mean as far as more specifics than that.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning.
Okay, all right.
And then what about the poem? Do you have that on the tip of your tongue?
On the tip of my tongue, as best as I can, I chanced upon a once proud tree, all sliced and slaughtered on the shelf. At Southern Lumber Company, I heard its voice and found myself. Could I fulfill its destiny to make its truth outlive its seeds? And did I dare deny its plea to chronicle the history of sacred songs of birds of peace that nested deep within its reach, of sons of slaves whose eyes reflect the misery of noose on neck, of troubled waters left to wade, and I forgot the next line. But this once proud tree whispered to me that it wanted to stand strong and bold again.